is James from Aptech. I think we'll give it a few more minutes here to let folks trickle in. Looks like we're still waiting on a couple of individuals. Yeah, like I said, we'll get started here in a minute or two. Thanks everyone for joining. All right. Well, thank you, everyone for taking the time today. Just going to go ahead and get things kicked off here. If people trickle in after the fact, we will be recording this session, and I'd be happy to distribute it to everyone after the fact. So if you have anyone internally you'd like to share it with or anything along those lines, I'll provide contact information after the fact, and feel free to reach out, and we'll be able to get the recording passed along to you. But good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join today's webinar, where we will be discussing how Aptech can help to automate your back office operations and focusing really more on the AP process. Just as an audio check, because I've muted and unmuted, Sunny or Zach, can you just give a quick confirmation that you can hear me okay right now?
Sound good?
All right, perfect. All right, well, my name is James Troutman, and I'm the sales manager at Aptech. For any of those not familiar, Aptech has been a hospitality-specific business for 51 years, focused on financial systems to help operators and owners. We offer accounting, business intelligence, and budgeting and forecasting. As I mentioned earlier, today's focus will be on the accounting side of that. Aptech has made the strategic business decision to follow the best of breed model. We know hospitality financial operations very well, but realize that partnerships with other fintechs gives our clients really the best end result and the most efficient process with the most cost savings. With that being said, I want to just do a quick introduction with some of the partners that I have on the line that we work with to offer more specialized services within the AP space. So I have Sunny on the line from Zaru, which is a company that specializes in hospitality invoice automation. Sunny, would you mind just giving a quick introduction to yourself?
Sure, James. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sunny, and I'm the co-founder CEO of Zaru. We initially started in 2015 in the restaurant space, where we saw a need in the market to digitize these hard-to-read documents in order to help automate invoice processing and provide cost-based insights. Our technology leverages both AI and human review techniques in order to process these invoices accurately and timely, but also at scale. We're incredibly excited about our partnership with Aptech and the integration work we've done, which allows us to expand into the hospitality vertical and accelerate automation for clients.
Awesome. Thank you, Sunny. I appreciate that. And then I also have Zach on the line from Corporate Spending Innovations, or CSI, the acronym there. and they specialize in optimizing the payment side of the process. So Zach, would you mind just giving a quick introduction?
Sure. Thanks, James, and thanks everyone for jumping on today. My name is Zach Bray, and I'm a director of AP automation specific to CSI's hospitality vertical. CSI is a 30-year-old company that's spent the last 15 plus years looking to automate, monetize, and optimize supplier payments. We work with more than 400 portfolios and partner with more than 9,000 properties across the US and Canada today. So it's a pleasure to be acquainted. And James, I'll let you go ahead and jump in.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. So mentioned this a little earlier, but we really want to cover, an overview of how Aptech, along with our various fintech partnerships, is able to offer a process that has direct benefits to your bottom line. So I wanted to start the presentation by taking a look at a few numbers. We'll kind of toggle through a few slides here, and then I'd like to spend the last couple minutes just showing you how this all actually works within our systems. So moving on to slide 2 here, I want to highlight what the average cost is to process an invoice. And obviously these numbers can be subjective, but looking at some of the studies that have been done according to Ardent Partners and some information and studies that Corporate Spending Innovations has done, this is the average cost for a company to manually process and pay an invoice via check. Moving on here, the 53% reduction in cost would be the cost savings that we think your company would be able to attain by processing and paying invoices by leveraging technology. So today I'm going to walk through how Aptech, along with our partners, can help to provide automation, which will directly result in the 53% cost reduction on the AP side. So back office automation is applicable to every business. With the help of a hospitality specific partner like Aptech, we can leverage technology that's going to help to add efficiencies, to reduce costs and also improve profits. And I always like to kind of highlight the hospitality specific there, as there's just some nuances to our business and to our industry that I think having that specialization provides a lot of benefit for. Some of the hidden costs with AP, and we'll kind of start with this end of the process. Ardent Partners, which I mentioned earlier, assigns around $11 to $12 cost for manual invoice processing, while CSI is assigning roughly a $3 to $4 cost per paper check, which is actually being pretty conservative. There's a number of other publications out there, one being Bank of America, a large financial institution, actually has estimates that check costs can be anywhere from $4 all the way up to $20. And many of these costs within AP are not fully transparent either. You need to factor in the labor that goes into it, infrastructure, physical costs, as well as the transaction fees based on how you're actually paying these vendors. I want to briefly show the procure to pay spectrum to give us a baseline before we examine how this changes when we start to introduce some technology into the process. So let's take a look at a manual invoice process. Many companies today still are stacking up paper invoices, manually keying all that data into the accounting system and then filing a hard copy somewhere in a storage room or filing cabinet. Very, heavily manual, a lot of paper in the process, which we're really kind of trying to promote clients to move away from if we can help there. When we introduce some automation into the process, it really helps to streamline things and digitize things. So first, that stack of paper invoices can be scanned and uploaded as a batch or in bulk. And, you're not doing these individually, processing one by one. You have the ability to take a huge stack of papers, run it through the scanner, and upload those in bulk for processing. Once we receive the scanned image file, using our partnership with Zaru, they're going to take a pass at that with the optimal character recognition, or OCR, along with machine learning. Your invoices are going to be separated, organized, and critical invoice elements are going to be digitized and used to create the invoice entries within our Accounts Payable module. And then we're also going to provide a digital invoice image that's going to help eliminate the paper and help with your document storage. So now I know a lot of you are probably out there thinking, I've heard of OCR and it sounds great on paper, but how accurate is the data capture rate? We've helped to solve this problem utilizing a company like Zaru. that has the gig workforce in place that helps provide an additional step of quality assurance where there is a human review to this process after the technology does its best to try and extract that data. The process is really an amazing combination of automation and accuracy to the tune of 98 to 99% hit rate on invoice level detail. So really all that's left for your staff to review and improve, all that's left for your staff is to review and improve the invoice once it's come into the accounting application with Aptech. So I want to show a quick real life example here of an invoice that was received in the system, kind of how it looks and then how it's ultimately populated within our accounting application. You can see that all the critical fields have been populated. So we're looking to grab, the vendor, the dollar amount, dates, GL coding in some circumstances, things like that. Anything that you'd be manually keying off of a paper invoice would be captured. So really, we can see all those fields are then populated to create an invoice within our accounting application, and just helps to kind of take that manual data entry process out of the equation. And then again, kind of hitting on the document storage side of it, everything's digitized and everything is in an online cloud-based environment. One other quick example here, and we could probably show you 100 of these because every invoice has unique circumstances to it, but this is an expense report, so we can do expense report processing as well. So here's an example within the Zaru system of how they processed this expense report, pulled out the GL coding, and this data would ultimately be routed back into our accounting application, as I showed you kind of on that previous screen there. So let's take a look at the payment side now. And similar to kind of how we talked about invoice processing, I want to look at what the manual side of a payment looks like. A traditional process, we're circulating a hard copy of a document for approval. A paper check is then created and mailed to the vendor, and then a manual reconciliation process takes place. When we move to more of an automated system where we're starting to introduce some technology to it, in the Aptech environment, you'd have an electronic approval process, flexible payment options, and an automated reconciliation that's going to really help to kind of close the loop on that payment process. So this is a good point to kind of introduce the CSI team, or Zach, I shouldn't say team, individual, to just give his kind of expertise on kind of how they process the payments and sort of what their payment model looks like. So Zach, I'll pass it over to you to cover a few slides.
Yeah, thanks, James. So this is a recent slide from payments.com that illustrates the huge shift in the industry towards digital payment capabilities. Billions of dollars each year are lost by businesses due to data inconsistencies, and we find this most in invoicing, coding, and then payment functions, respectively. Over the next several years, most transactions will be made digitally. Paper payments have become largely the least desirable, partially due to USPS delays, but mostly due to the strides that digital payments have made to become frictionless, providing immediate settlement and increased detail to vendors. Automating this process is the natural progression of digital payments, removing the human component as much as possible. When we look at working from home, that really disrupts the traditional payment disbursement models that require in-office activity to process checks or upload ACH files to your bank. Most ERPs, like Aptech, have moved to the cloud, but manual invoice and payment functions still require employees to come into the office. Digitizing both the front and back end of the invoice to payment lifecycle will increase efficiencies, reduce the amount of time within that cycle, and ensures that there's no gaps within employees working remotely. Virtual cards have entered the market over a decade ago, with significant innovations in that time to drive value for both the buyers and suppliers alike. Many of your large national vendors accept card today without a fee or discount loss due to the speed of settlement, invoice detail received, and the guaranteed funds from the card issuer, like Visa and MasterCard. A lot of vendors will also accept card due to buyer and industry demand. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you what the benefits of outsourced payment processing are. So these are the three high-level silos of what the advantages are, and we're strictly talking about automating the last mile of the payment lifecycle. A provider like CSI enables you to both reduce hard and soft costs internally. So we're removing the need for a back office employee to print and sign and ultimately mail checks, as well as taking away the manual lift for uploading or even manually entering bank details to disperse ACH payments. A huge component of our program is converting vendors off of check and onto electronic payments, leading with virtual cards first, as there's zero cost to process those, and they do generate a rebate back on every payment, and then ACH as a secondary option. So the goal is to reduce checks with cheaper, quicker, and more secure digital payments. The process is outlined at a high level in the middle silo. So you select invoices to pay in your ERP just like normal. ERP like Aptech is going to assign a check reference number to every payment, and then via either an SFTP or an API connection, a file comes to our platform where an optional approval workflow is reached that would be mirroring the process of signing checks today, or mirroring what your bank approval workflow is, or optionally, a lot of our clients have actually moved away from that to not have to add another platform to the mix. In fact, they'll just approve payments out of an ERP and allow CSI to handle the disbursement of different payment types. From a revenue perspective, this is really the silver lining of our program. So we're really coming in a unique value prop here, offering a solution that costs nothing out of pocket. There's no upfront fees, there's no out-of-pocket fees, there's no budget implications. And that's because with the amount of both clients and vendors that CSI works with, in the hospitality space specifically, we average 20 to 40% of your spend that will actually convert onto these virtual cards. And I'm talking about vendors like HD Supply, American Hotel Register, Office Depot, Cisco, Ecolab, Cintas, Waste Management. The list goes on and on. In fact, we work with almost 1 million unique vendors today. Additionally, from a working capital perspective, we'll have certain clients like Four Seasons, for example, that'll take the approach where if a vendor will not accept a payment on card, then they'll extend payment on an alternative payment type like a check. So in fact, they moved the majority, about 40 to 50% of their spend onto card, paid at the normal invoice time, and then extended check by an additional 30 days from what the vendor required, which extended their working capital. With a lot of focus on automating both the front end of the invoice piece and the last mile on the payment piece, we find that groups like yourselves that may be looking at automating the whole piece will leverage the rebates generated from CSI's program to offset the cost of an invoice program on the front end. So with that, James, I'll pass it back over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Zach. And that's a really good segue into my next slide here, and I won't spend a ton of time on it because Zach kind of addressed some of these, but similar methodology here that we always recommend with our clients, and I've kind of coined this the optimal payment protocol. But when we look at how most companies make payment, paper checks going to be the most common answer, but checks can be costly and pretty inefficient. Checks aren't going to go away, right? There's always going to be a need for those, and that's kind of how CSI has addressed that with their checks outsource program. But if we can employ an optimal payment protocol, that's going to ensure that our payment process is as efficient as possible. Again, kind of touching on what Zach addressed, the most beneficial way to make payment is via that virtual card. And the beauty of that is a $0 transaction cost with a rebate earned on those payments. Vendors that don't accept that, we want to leverage ACH, and then finally printing and mailing a check. But the gist here is Aptech's payment processing technology, along with our partnerships and integration with various banking partners and financial institutions, allows our clients to really kind of take advantage of utilizing the optimal payment protocol. So just shifting gears a little bit here, and we're almost wrapped up with the slides, is I wanted to touch on how we can help automate the general ledger functionality. And again, this is a little bit outside of the accounts payable space, but our system has a number of other automation features that are going to help streamline critical accounting functions. Automating the daily income journal process is very critical. It's going to require integration with the property level systems that are tracking all of your revenues, stat accounts, taxes, settlements, all that good stuff. And we look to directly integrate and pull that data from those systems to automate that income journal process. So just another advantage of utilizing someone with hospitality experience is a lot of the generic ERP providers might not have some of those integrations in place. And then on the expense side, having the ability to integrate payroll data, once again, just adds efficiency and helps to reduce potential human error. And the last piece to touch on here is just looking at how we can apply technology to something as basic as a financial statement. So a lot of people might overlook the process of reviewing statements as a place to utilize technology, but using digital statements does have some benefits. So within our system, you have the ability to drill down on items to quickly access the detail necessary that's going to complete your analysis. So if we look at our example here, I'm starting at the summary operating statement level. From there, I can drill all the way down to a specific expense line item and actually pull an image of that invoice all directly from the financial statement itself. And in closing here, before I jump into a quick demo, you know, as accounting sometimes overlooks, probably, you know, let's admit that sometimes it's not the most highly valued department within an organization, but I really think, you know, folks need to pay more attention in leveraging technology, you know, applying technology to this area to really help kind of improve the bottom line. So just kind of want to drill home that message that there's a lot that can be done, you know, on the accounting side that's going to help create a more efficient process and really help to reduce some cost. So let me pull up just a really quick demo here just to show you kind of how this would function within the PVNG system. That's the name of our accounting application. Within here, we can see that I have a couple of invoices and I'm within our accounts payable module. And this is all web-based with mobile access as well. So if you do use our approval workflow, everything can be completed all via a Android or iPhone, as well as through the actual desktop version here. But what we could see, if we had invoices that were being processed through Zaru, once they're processed, they're going to be sitting here waiting for me to basically review and approve. I can view an image directly from this screen as well that's associated with every single invoice. Again, all of that being captured through the Zaru process. The way that works is you'll see here when I come into invoices, I'll see this Zaru app. So we've established a single sign-on capability with them where it's going to use my PVNG credentials to automatically route me to the Zaru system. From here, I'm simply uploading a file directly from somewhere within a shared drive or somewhere within my documents to then upload that batch of invoices. So you still need to send the invoices to a scanner and create some sort of a digital file. Once that's completed, though, really the legwork's all on us, where now you're uploading this file. Once we've uploaded it, you're going to receive notifications throughout the process that the payment or that the invoice file's been received, that it's been processed, that it's been loaded back into PVNG, all that good stuff. So there is full email notification capability there. And there's functionality within the Zaru application directly as well, if you want to view batches of invoices and things like that. And there's also exception notification. So if you send an invoice that's missing critical elements that they look to capture, you'll receive a notification that they could not, you know, properly process that application due to XYZ. You know, so there is some exception management there as well. But basically, that's the upload process. Once it's uploaded and processed, invoices appear here within PVNG. We can now use our approval process in place here to create a payment. You know, from here, I'm going to be able to see all of my invoices that have been posted to the system. Once I queue up a payment run, we can have an additional approval process here where I can see a payment run that's been created. I can see the invoices that are included there. And then finally, I can issue a payment. So here we can see one that's been fully approved throughout the process. I'm going to come in here. This one specifically is set up for CSI. So we can see the payment type there is directed to CSI. Once you come in and enter a bank code and payment date, when you issue this payment, it's going to generate a file that would then be automatically sent to CSI for them to process. If you're just processing credit card payments, you know, obviously payment type doesn't necessarily matter, but if you're going to do the consolidated payment file, be broken out by payment type, and they parse out your check payments, print and mail those for you. They'd process your ACH payments for you, as well as then the vendor credit card payments. From there, you would then receive a reconciliation file back into the PVNG system within the bank reconciliation module there, to start to clear those payments and kind of close the loop there on that payment process. So that's really kind of everything that that I wanted to cover today. I know I touched on some other GL functionality, and I'm not going to go through all of that. You kind of got a glance at that in the presentation, how the daily income journal process can be automated, the payroll process, how we can drill into financial statements. So like I said, not going to actually go through the system to show all that. And I know we're bumping up on our time here. I did, however, want to just put up kind of as a final slide here, and I will be following up with everyone that has attended the webinar, just to send the recording out to you as well as the presentation deck. But here's contact information for myself, for Sunny at Zaru, as well as Zach at Corporate Spending Innovations. The other thing too that I want to quickly highlight is that if you do decide, and I know I have some folks on here that are current Aptech PVNG clients, some are not using us today for the accounting. If you do move over to Aptech, or if you are a current Aptech client, Sunny has agreed to offer a promotional 2-month free invoice processing. So if you want to try the system out to just see how the invoice scanning works, obviously, if you're a PVNG client, we'd be able to turn that over very quickly. For those that if you do look at Aptech to use accounting, that's something that we could offer to you once you are live with us. But I just wanted to throw that out there for any attendees here. We wanted to throw a little promotion out there. Again, I thank everyone for the time today. Here's the contact information. And like I said, I will be following up with all of the attendees with the recording of this, with the PowerPoint, and then with any next steps. So really appreciate the time. And I also do just want to say, if it is something that you're maybe not looking at Aptech, I would always highly recommend, if you do want to look at an invoice process or on the payment side, feel free to reach out to Sunny or Zach as well. So thanks again, everyone, for the time today, and have a great afternoon.